Welcome to a new adventure, guys. Welcome to sunrise in the Uinta Mountains of Utah. I've just spent the night here, filmed another video. That video you've probably already seen by now. If not, it's the one before this one. Had a very enjoyable time up here. I'm solo and I hammock camped on the shores of Hope Lake in the high Uinta wilderness. This is my campfire, or what was my campfire. You can see I've doused it soundly with lake water. Made sure it was out. I'm still up here for a few more hours and I'm going to take a day hike. That up there, that gap between the mountains, is called the Notch. I'm gonna hike up that direction. I don't know if we'll make it to the Notch. I'm not sure what the plan is that way. But I've never been beyond Hope Lake. I camped here last year. I'll put links in the description for both. I think it was 2 years ago. I'll put links down below for that outing. I was actually trying to follow the steps of a man who disappeared up here named Melvin Heaps. And kind of trying to get inside his head and figure out what happened to him. He was in his 70s and he just vanished up here along these same trails. So those links are down below, and also the most recent video that I just finished filming up here, my camp out from this adventure, will be linked below as well. That is Hope Lake, and previously I camped way over there on those shores. The sun has just risen. It's about 7 a.m. My pack is packed. I'm pretty much ready to go. So we might as well hit the trail. Like I said, I've never been beyond Hope Lake. I don't know what to expect. This is all new territory for me. I'm excited to see what's over there. The sun hasn't hit that area yet, but it will eventually, so I'm still gonna wear the puffer coat, puffy coat, whatever you prefer to call it, because it's pretty chilly. It was a chilly night. It really pushed the limits of my gear here. I stayed warm enough. I woke up a couple times with the chill. I did not bring thermals. I'm gonna have to start doing that when I come up here. It is August, and in another month, autumn. So let's get on the trail. Let's take this hike. Beautiful lake. What a perfect morning. This is all pretty swampy in here. We're now at the other end of Hope Lake. Camp is over in those trees. 2 years ago I camped right here up against these cliffs. Very quiet trail this morning. It's a Sunday morning. Let's see what's beyond this boardwalk. I have no idea. I woke up this morning, my alarm clock was a coyote. He was right down in here somewhere. Really close, not very far from camp. That was about 6 a.m. which was good. I wanted to get going on this hike early. It's just a lone coyote. At least it wasn't a pack. Okay, from this point on, I have no idea what to expect from this trail. Wow, it's quite beautiful. By the way, I take a lot of pictures on my outings. And I put them all on my Instagram page long before the video comes out, so if you want to see photos, I'll put it up here on the screen. Please follow me. Who knows, I might follow you back. It's getting pretty thick in here. Lots of spruce and pine. Very thick. Sunlight through the trees. I have a feeling we're going to be gaining some elevation. In fact, I'm sure of it because the notch is up there. Popular destination for people who hike this trail. We gained some elevation. Hope Lake right there. Of course there's an airplane. Oh, of course. I can see the bridge to Wall Lake way down there, right in the center. My eyes see it better than the camera does. Quite the view. Getting closer to the notch though. Coming up on a sign. Clyde Lake. Been there, done that. Not a fan. And the notch. That way. We're gonna keep following it. So far I'm doing alright, so maybe we will make it up there. I have no idea. But the thing about Clyde Lake, a couple years ago, I hiked a lot of this loop, that side of it. I camped the first night behind Wall Lake. The second night, I hiked up to Clyde Lake, which is up above those cliffs up in there. And I found a cave and a little alcove. If you go to my main page, my YouTube main page for this channel, you'll see a picture of my tent inside that little cave. Well, some Boy Scouts saw me camped out there when they were hiking in, and they decided they were going to hike. They camped at Clyde Lake. They were going to hike from Clyde Lake to my campsite in the middle of the night. I was camped right in front of a lake, a small lake, very small. And they started throwing rocks in the water and yelling and peeing off the cliff almost into my camp. And I actually chased them down, and they ran. Boy, they were scared. But I filmed the whole thing. Unfortunately, I lost the SD card that it was all on, so unless it pops up magically, it's gone forever. But also, Clyde Lake was just packed with people. It's quite a ways in, but it's not a hard hike at all. It's pretty level. So the third night, I packed up that morning, the next morning, and I hiked over here. That's Mount Watson. Right below it is Watson Lake, Lake Watson, whatever you want to call it. And I camped on an island there and had a pretty decent time. I annoyed some people because I was so close to the water, but it was the best place to camp around there that I could see. A lot of it was swampy, so it was a good trip. It was a 3-night, 4-day trip, and it was 2 days too long. Mostly because I got attacked by Boy Scouts. So anyway, you've probably seen some B-roll at this point of that outing. We, my friends, we are not going to Clyde Lake. Friends of mine, Nicole hikes a lot, and Tim eats a lot, husband and wife team. You've probably seen a video posted by now of us hanging out together in Shingle Creek up here. They weren't fans of Clyde Lake either. Noisy and crowded. We're going that way. Okay, a little update. After the sign, the elevation increases significantly. I would call this a moderate hike, and the air is thinner up here. We're at a higher elevation, and in the end I'll put the elevation gain between Hope Lake and the Notch. But this is a situation. You can see the trail continues to go up, of course. Here's the Notch, that's one point, and you come over here and here's the other. I believe that's Notch Mountain. One of those is. Maybe they both are, and this is just a gap between the same mountain. That's what I'm thinking. So this is our Notch, this big thing here. That's where we're headed. I guess we are going to do this. I wasn't sure, but it's not too bad. This wouldn't be good for little kids, but teenagers and up could make it. It's going to be a heck of a view once we get up there. Let's keep going. Look at that view, my friends. Here's a quick rundown. We started at camp, which is Hope Lake, right there in the middle of the screen. So there's Hope Lake. Over here, this is Trial Lake. That's where Jude caught his first fish, by the way. Up here, this is Wall Lake. The bridge is right in the center of your screen. Up above that is, I think, Washington Lake. Crystal Lake is up in there. Cliff Lake is up in there. Coming over this way, that's Watson Lake, where I spent the night on the island. And then over this way, that you can't see, Clyde Lake is up in there. And this, my friends, this is the Notch. I don't know what to expect when I walk over this way, but we will see. So I've cut across these rocks. I think you can hike down here to the actual drop-off, but that, I'm pretty sure, is Notch Lake. And I've camped there before, so I will throw up here on the screen. I've camped at that end of it. I'll throw up here some footage of what the Notch looks like from that end. It's pretty ominous looking. It's pretty wide open up here. Anyway, so that's the Notch Lake. And then over in here up against the mountain is Bench Lake, where my buddy Joe and I have camped together. I know Joe camped there solo, and then I camped there with him. So you probably see some B-roll in here. And there's some little lakes behind Notch Lake, right up through there. I'm not sure what they all are, but I recognize the hike. You hike along Notch Lake and through that meadow to get over to Bench Lake, which is a beautiful lake. There's no fish in it, but it's gorgeous. My beautiful Uinta Mountains, I love you. They're just amazing. So this is Notch Mountain. I'm pretty sure the Notch is just part of the mountain that we are currently standing in. Looks like this. Mount Watson. Pretty amazing. I'm going to take a little break. I have to recharge the battery on this camera, and I'm going to walk around and take some pictures for Instagram and hydrate. It wasn't a bad hike. I got up here in 45 minutes from camp down at Hope Lake, and Hope Lake was an hour or 20 minutes from the parking lot. So, you know, going at a steady pace without busting your butt trying to be king of the world, you could probably get up here in a couple hours pretty easy. So doesn't look like much from up here, but I'll tell you, down there is absolutely gorgeous down in the trees. I've camped at that lake many times. Okay, let's recharge. And we'll get back to some more sightseeing while we're up here. Well, I've given this about a half-hour charge. It's not full, but it's better than it was. Yeah. So, just a few things. I've been hiking around, taking pictures. There's some interesting things I found and some fascinating things to me that I found. So, let's take a tour. First of all, if you want to hike the entire loop, so right down there is Wall Lake, right? That's this one. There's the bridge. So you end up parking in the parking lot, which is somewhere right between Trial and Wall, way down in here. You'll hike up to Wall Lake, which is not a very difficult or far hike. It takes maybe a half hour. And then you hike this way through those trees and you end up going by Hope Lake. And if you go past Hope, as you've seen now, you will run into the sign pointing to either the Notch or Clyde Lake. From the sign, if you turn and go towards Clyde Lake, you'll go down through all of this along the, you'll kind of skirt Wall Lake, and you'll go up through here, and you'll end up at Clyde Lake. Then you can hike back down to Watson Lake, and you'll come down to a beautiful area with Petite Lake and Cliff Lake are nestled in there. Cliff Lake's one of my favorites. And then from Cliff Lake, it's about another mile back to the parking lot. So that's the entire loop. So coming up here to the Notch is just a detour. It doesn't go anywhere but to the Notch. And I have seen a lot of cairns through here. Cairns. Go this way or I'm telling the manager. Cairns. I hate saying that word. It bugs me. Anyway, just pointing you the direction to the edge here. So I hiked down to the cliff, which is really uncomfortable for me. Not a fan of really high heights. This looks like a lot, but I'm on pretty flat ground. So that's the loop, and this is the Notch, just to get back on the trail, backtrack, and continue on. So here's some interesting finds as I was walking through here. Right over here, these are some bones, probably from a small deer, I would assume. Something picked those clean. That's all there is of them. I don't see any other fragments anywhere. And they've probably been there a while. So that was interesting. And then over this way, somebody had a little campsite here. There's a fire pit. And they would have put their tent up. It's pretty flat right there. Just nestled amongst these cliffs. I don't think that's a great idea. You've seen in other videos of mine the thunderstorms that blow through here in the afternoons, and that's really exposed to lightning. There's just nowhere to take cover up here. So, and whatever took out that animal with the bones was either a bear or a mountain lion, and the only thing I've seen scurrying around are chipmunks. Anyway, that is a pretty cool idea for a campsite. I just am not sure I would camp there. Plus, when the rain really dumps up here, you would be just washed out. You can already see where the water has been in recent days. And over here, if we go to the edge of this cliff, right over here, So here's the cliffside view of Notch Lake. I'm not sure what this is. I'll put it on the screen if I can find out, because I've been all through this. I just haven't really been up here to this point. And look down here. Snow, still sitting there. Possibly by the time it snows again, we'll still be sitting there. It is August, and in a couple of months it could start snowing again up here. And we hiked down this. It's steeper than it looks, but it's a nice flat gradual incline up to where I charged the camera. So some of the things I've seen. The other thing I've noticed is some of the formations on the rocks further up. Here's one formation I was talking about by the freezing and thawing. It's really cool. Here's some different ones. They're all over, all through here. A lot of interesting, intricate, wavy patterns. Over here is the campsite I was talking about. Here's a closer view. I would think they would have had to put their tent here, but you can see it's been inundated with water. This is still muddy. It doesn't look like it's been used in a while, but who knows? I mean, there's stuff growing in there, grass and whatnot. Some wildflowers as a backdrop. Pretty cool idea, but very exposed. I wouldn't do it. I learned my lesson. These are my favorite formations so far. These little holes. This is the second time I've come across them. It reminds me of a chocolate bar they used to sell when I was a kid called Choco Light. I think you can buy it in other countries still. But their whole advertisement was, it's a chocolate bar with little holes. My apologies if you have that phobia of holes. It's a real thing. I actually suffer from it, but these don't bother me. It's certain kinds that when I look at them, I just have nightmares about it. It's awful. It's a real thing. People don't think it is, but it absolutely is. Look at that. It's just a straight strip right through there. I'll put up on the screen whatever that phobia is called. I probably already did. Some more wavy patterns. Just so cool. This is the Notch. We made it. We are in between the two sides of Notch Mountain, I believe. Very cool. A lot of wildflowers growing along the base of this cliff. Anywhere they can grow. This is strange, this area here. If you look around, we're almost above the tree line. We're at least at the tree line. And they don't grow much above this elevation. Right here, it's a perfect grove of trees. Spruce, blue spruce. Grass, wildflowers, these purple daisy looking things. I don't know what they're called. Someone does. Someone will tell me in the comments, right? Purple daisies and yellow flowers too. I know my flowers. But look at that. Look how desolate most of the Notch is. And then you turn around and there's this. Look at this beautiful grove full of wildflowers. That's amazing. Just all by itself, surrounded by a whole lot of nothing. Well, it's not nothing, it's just a different kind of something. Kind of like me. Cool. Well, as you can see, it's very vast, very huge. It's easy to see how somebody could disappear out here and never be found again. But what a place to get lost in. I mean, it doesn't sound fun, but... Shut up, Steve. God. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway. Well, guys, thanks for joining me on another awesome outing, another awesome adventure. I'm gonna hike back to camp and pack up and make like a baby and head out. So, do yourselves a favor, guys, and get off the couch, get outside in nature, and have an adventure. The views are spectacular. And if you can't get outside, for whatever reason, come along with me. I could use the company. I gotta hike back down there. See you in the next adventure, guys. Take care.